Thank you for joining us for the Maverick Steps of Service training video. With our mission statement, we create gathering places for all walks of life, enhancing our guests, staff, and community through extraordinary hospitality and food. We deliver hospitality in all walks of life, not only to our guests, but to our fellow staff and vendors. We treat everyone with dignity and respect. We are dedicated to learning, teaching, and ongoing development of each other. We have fun while we work. We provide a clean and safe work environment for our guests and team. We encourage individuals' passion and creativity at work and home. We communicate openly, clearly, and honestly. We honor the relationships that connect our team, our guests, and community. We take pride in our commitment to provide quality service and quality product. We celebrate accomplishments. We support balance between work and home. Our team works through support and cooperation. Hospitality, the friendly and generous reception and entertainment of guests, visitors, or strangers. It is one of humanity's most beautiful gestures. The business of hospitality should be about bringing people together. Hospitality 101. How would you like to be treated if you were a guest and in general? Service is the technical steps that make up the entire guest's experience at our establishment. Did you take the correct order? Did you recommend the proper glass of wine with their entree? Did you clear the plates after the entire table is finished? Did you ask if they would like dessert or a digestif? Did you deliver the proper dish to the proper diner? Hospitality is going the extra mile for your colleagues and guests. Smiling, engaging, going above and beyond. Bringing tacos to line up for everyone. Overhearing it is someone's birthday and adding a candle to the dessert. Hearing that the guest needs a car but their cell phone is dead and stepping in and saying, I can call a taxi for you and would you like for me to put that phone on a charger while you wait? These are acts of kindness and are exactly what we want to encourage and foster at Maverick. All staff dining room demeanor. Be quiet, courteous, and graceful on the floor. Never use the table numbers or positions or restaurant jargon within guests' earshot. Always yield and or stop for guests to go by. Use behind you with peers only. Pass on the right. Servers carrying food have the right of way over servers carrying bust plates. A front of the house server professional should always communicate when leaving the floor. This is for the guest's benefit. Tell your neighbor, tell your manager. Avoid gathering in groups and idle conversation. All about perception. No cellular phones on the floor. This is all about perception. One should be mindful that the hotline is a workstation for the food runners and Chef Expo and should be treated as such. Body language. Walking with purpose, straight posture, no leaning, no elbows, always surveying the room, smiling, smiling, smiling. When taking an order, do not hunch over forward, do not stand on one hip, cross your legs or lean against the customer's chair or table. Do not crouch on the floor. Do not point fingers in the dining room. No perfume or cologne. No chewing or eating on the floor. No smoking during service. Anything. Your smell takes away from the guest's experience. Passing plates should be kept to a minimum. If you are delivering plates to a table, do not pass them off. Finish what you started. The same rule applies for clearing tables. Do not start bussing a table and then pass off the dirty plates to your bussers. Hi, all right, so we're gonna be going over all of the 40 steps of service for Maverick and the sequence that you should be providing these steps in. When the guest first arrives, their host or the host will greet them at the front door and have the guest seated. And then within a couple minutes, the guest should be greeted by the server. So ideally, Sebastian has been seated and I am going to be greeting him within 2 minutes. If you're able to do this faster than 2 minutes, please do so. Water is going to be your first step. When you approach the table, you introduce yourself, welcome the guest to Maverick, and then you're going to guide them through the menu. So, good evening, sir. Thank you for joining us at Maverick. How are you today?
Great, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for asking. Would you prefer regular water or we offer complimentary sparkling water?
Sparkling.
Excellent. So the guest has ordered sparkling water. In this case, we are going to take a coaster to mark on the glass that he has sparkling water coming to him. So I put this directly under his water glass. Ideally, you'll have the bottle of water in your hand when you arrive at the table, but if you're in a pinch or if you're in a busy section, you may not have the opportunity, so we're showing it this way. I'm gonna grab the bottle of water. Our sparkling water is indicated by a green rubber band. This may change, but just double check with management later on. I don't know when the video will air. All right, so you have sparkling water. You always want to minimize your appearance at the table. You don't want to approach the table with your entire body. You want to try and turn your body at an angle so that the guest doesn't feel like you're approaching them with all of your size, I guess. When you have guests at the table and you have a glass or bottle that sweats, we put a coaster underneath it. In this circumstance, I have a single guest at the table, so I can leave the bottle of water there for them. And that's also a way for me to come back to the table and refill their water throughout the evening. Sir, do you have another guest joining you this evening?
I do.
Oh, you do? Excellent.
Not.
So I'm gonna go ahead and take these items away. In order to clear the extra place settings from the table, you do so in the most eloquent way possible. I can remove the menu. You take your silverware and you place it in the middle of the napkin, which you then fold in half and place in your hand. Extra wine glasses can then go in between your fingers, and with your other hand you can take the water glass away. This is what we feel to be the most appropriate. Excellent, sir. So have you dined with us before?
I have not.
Oh, wonderful. I love when people are here for the first time. So we have an a la carte menu that is true a la carte in a French brasserie style. We do like to use local Texas-based ingredients whenever possible. Also on the back of the dinner menu, you will find all of our beverages, our wines by the glass, specialty cocktails, and beer offerings, should you like something other than water. I'll give you a moment to look over the menu, and if you have any questions, please let me know. My name is Megan. I'll be taking care of you.
Thank you.
Of course. Usually you want to give the guest just a moment to peruse the menu. You don't want to overwhelm them, and you don't want to force them to make a decision. We're a very relaxed environment. We are elevated dining in a fine dining atmosphere. However, we want it to be casual and comfortable for the guest. So after we've already done the water and we've given them the layout of the menu, at least when it comes to beverages to begin with, I will then reapproach the table and go over the drink order with the guest. So, do you have any questions about anything that you've seen on the menu so far?
I do not.
Excellent. What would you like to drink?
Can I start with your such and such lager?
Oh, excellent. Perfect. So in that case, because the guest has ordered a beer or a lager, I can then remove the wine glass from in front of the guest. More appropriately, it would be to go around his right and take the glass from the stem and walk away. If you have multiple glasses, you can interlace the bottom of the glass in your fingers and then appropriately walk away with the glassware. In this case, I wanted to show you the correct way. If you're in a bind with some of our tables and you're backed into a corner, you will be able to reach across as long as you apologize for the intrusion. So in that case, I would say like, apologies for the reach, sir. And if he is a nice guest, he may say, not a problem.
Not a problem. All right.
So now that he has ordered the lager, I walk away to the computer and I will place that order for the beverage. That will then print up at the bar and the bartender will prepare the drink. For a beer, it's a very quick turnaround on the ticket time, so we're looking at only a couple of minutes for you to be able to receive that beer. Once I have the beer, for the sake of argument, this is our beer glass that will be delivered, and I will be presenting a coaster because this is an item that sweats. I will be going around my guest and presenting the beverage on their right, typically at about 1 o'clock from the guest's front. So, sir, your such and such lager for you?
Thank you.
Of course, absolutely. I'll walk away. You always want to have a tray on you whenever possible. Of course, when you're running food or when you are bussing 1 or 2 glasses away from a table, it is acceptable to only grab 1 item in each hand. But of course, if a guest is handing you more than 1 item, then you can take that item as well. Don't ever tell a guest that you're not able to take more away from them, even if they're trying to hand it to you. Just don't make it weird, that's the motto. Okay, so we have done the drink order, we have placed that drink order, and we have run the drink order. So we have the beverage on the table. We have given the guest ample amount of time to make a decision when it comes to their food. I always like to approach the guest after they've received their drink to go over any off-menu specials that we may have that evening. You don't want to bore the guest, and you want to answer any questions at a leisurely pace. You do not want to rush people. We do not do that here. So in this circumstance, I would approach the table. He's had his lager for a moment or two. I can see that his water glass is now getting to below half empty. So since we have the water on the table, I will walk around him and pour his water. Sir, do you have any questions about anything on the menu, or would you like to hear about the off-menu specials tonight?
Off-menu features, please.
Wonderful, absolutely. So this evening we have oysters on the half shell. I have 2 options from Prince Edward Island and 1 from New Brunswick. We also have these delicious zucchini fritters with a lemon zest sour cream garnish and some green onions. It's delicious. But those are the only options that we have off menu this evening. Otherwise, our Gulf Coast fish fillet is red snapper tonight. That's more from the Florida Gulf side, but it is delicious, nice and flaky. And as far as with anything on the menu, do you need any assistance choosing between a couple of items, or any questions for me?
No, I will have the schnitzel.
Excellent. All right, pork schnitzel, wonderful. So in that circumstance, he's ordering something that requires some questions. You can modify the schnitzel to have mushrooms added to it or a fried egg on the top. Would you like to add mushrooms or eggs, sir?
Mushrooms, please.
Excellent. And then would you like any soup or salad to begin? I would really highly recommend the carrot ginger soup. It's delicious. Has a little cardamom and coriander on the top. Would you like to try that?
Yes.
Excellent. Would you like a cup or a bowl?
We'll do a cup.
Excellent. And then, how hungry are you tonight, sir? Are we thinking?
Starving.
Starving, alrighty. Well, in that case, I would recommend maybe starting off with an appetizer. Our gougères are delicious. It's baked cheese puffs. Or I would also recommend the calamari and octopus. That is absolutely incredible. Has a nice little kick to it with the calabrese pepper oil.
I'll start with the first one.
Excellent. All right, so the gougères will get you started. Perfect. And would you like for the gougères to arrive first and then to have your soup, or would you like for them to come at the same time?
I'll actually have the soup and the gougères together.
Excellent. Perfect. Anything else you'd like to add to your meal? Would you like to do any other vegetables or starches?
I think that'll do it.
Perfect. All righty. Well, I'll take that menu out of the way for you, sir. Thank you so much. And then in that case, you would remove all menus from every guest. I like to repeat back things to the guest, as you should as well, to confirm the order, to make sure that that is getting back to the kitchen in the correct way. So in this circumstance, I'm going to remove everything. This is my little cheat sheet, so do ignore that on the table for now. So the gentleman ordered pork schnitzel, a cup of carrot soup, gougères, and the mushrooms added to the pork schnitzel. So what we're going to do is we're going to plus for the gougères and for the soup. So gougères are an item that are served in a fry cup, a metal fry cup, and do require share plates to enjoy. So in that circumstance, I would bring a share plate for the gougères, but since he is going to be having the soup as well, I will plus with a soup spoon. We have marking trays in the restaurant, beautifully handmade for you, with a black linen as the buffer basically at the bottom of it. All of our silverware and marking trays are located at the different server stations around the restaurant. So he ordered the soup, so I do have a soup spoon for him. We then plus the soup spoon to the right of the knife. So a proper presentation for gougères and soup would look as such. Now, if the guest decides that when the soup or the gougères arrive, you can actually move the plate off to the side so that he can then have his soup in the middle and have his side plate for the gougères, which are little baked cheese puffs. But that is really more of a question I would ask the guest, like, may I move this out of the way for you? Sometimes they don't want that extra stuff on the table, and so you are able to curate that place setting to their specifications. Again, we don't like to make it weird here. That's the motto. So if the guest says, oh, I don't care, just set it off to the side, to the left, so they can use it as a bread plate. So in this circumstance, I would be ordering all of the items that he had ordered in the system and coursing them so that they arrive together or at different timings. So we have the gougères and the cup of the carrot soup coming first, and then I've coursed the pork schnitzel with the mushrooms added to it as a second course option. He did not order any sides, nor did he order any vegetables or anything like that. So we can hold off on the rest of the food ordering till later. So the kitchen then produces the appetizers. So in that case, it would be gougères and soup. So there would be a cup of soup that would be delivered here for the guest, and the gougères would be placed in the middle of the table in front of him. Once he has enjoyed those items, or I should say once he has started to enjoy them, I would come back and do the 2-minute 2-bite check back. Pretty standard for service. Sir, how's the soup this evening?
Wonderful.
Excellent, excellent. And how are the gougères treating you?
Fantastic.
Delicious. May I get these things out of the way for you?
Yes, please.
Excellent. So then what I would do is do a full clear of the entire table. And regardless if it's 1 or 10 guests, you want to wait until everyone is finished with their course before clearing the table. So I typically, because of the silverware that we have, will grab the silverware and place the heavy items down in the plate when possible. You will find that these items are very slippery on the floor and can fall off of the plate. But to avoid that, do try and place them in a way that is secure to your body. We do not scrape and stack plates whenever we have food on the table. And then once this is done and I've cleared all the plates out of the way, this is then taken to dish. Once that's gone, the next step is to crumb the table. We have crumbers set up around the restaurant for you to use. They are a small white plate with a black linen that has been dipped in sanitizer. When you come to the table, you want to crumb away from the guest as to not put any crumbs in their lap. We don't want that. So I would reach across him. My apologies for the reach, sir. Let me get that for you. Get any crumbs out of the way that he may have created. And then once it's clean, I can walk away. Now, when you're in a situation where you've cleared the table, your fellow staff members, because we are a team, will come up behind you and hopefully crumb the table for you. If not, ask for assistance when you're on your way back to the dish pit. So the guest has been crumbed, and now we are going to plus them for their next course, their entree course. In this case, it's the pork schnitzel with the mushrooms on top. So I will get a fork and a steak knife, and all open-handed service and minimizing my body at the table, I will place the fork on the left and the steak knife on the right. Because he ordered a pork schnitzel, that is a protein item that will require a steak knife. Not every protein that we have requires a steak knife. However, fish is an item that can come with a regular dinner knife, any braised items as well. But when in doubt, always ask your teammates. So you replace the marking tray back at the server station, and then the food should be delivered shortly after. So we have our pork schnitzel, sir, with the mushrooms added on top. Excellent. Is there anything else that I might be able to get for you?
Salt and pepper?
Oh, of course, absolutely. We do not offer salt and pepper on the table. We do it when the guest asks for it. We have these very cute little trays with our black cracked pepper, and we have Maldon salt from the UK. I would set this in front of him. Excellent, sir, please enjoy, and walk away. Again, now the water is getting low. That's one of those things where you have to keep an eye on it, as well as your fellow teammates that are around you. I would fill his water again. Whoever is the last person to run food to a table should be asking the table if there's anything else that we can provide to make their experience better. That would be salt, pepper, maybe lemons for the schnitzel, which people tend to ask for. And also, because he ordered mushrooms on top, the brown butter caper sauce will come on the side. So I'll usually mention to them, oh, we've put the brown butter caper sauce on the side for you so that it wouldn't be on the mushrooms when it arrives, so you can do it as you like it. Once you usually point those things out, guests tend to get the message and know what to do with it. Again, he starts to enjoy his food. 2-minute 2-bite check back. I'll come back. How's the pork schnitzel, sir?
Delicious.
I usually will reference things by name to show that I am still engaged and attentive to the table. I'll even ask other guests, how's the fish, and so on and so forth. Alrighty, so we're going into the next section. This will entail the clearing of the entrees and dessert presentation. So the gentleman is finished with his pork schnitzel. Sir, may I take this plate for you?
Yes, please.
You always want to ask when taking things away, because especially with the menu that we have, family style tends to happen a lot with larger parties. If you have a guest that looks like they may be finished with their plate, they may not actually be finished in general because their guests may share more items with them. So always ask before taking items away. Again, I'm going to go ahead and take all of my cutlery away as well. And the final item to clear for a full clear from dinner would be the salt and pepper. They're not going to need it for dessert. So I'm going to go ahead and take this away as well. Place this at a nearby service station. The next step would be to crumb the table, again, from the dinner portion. Let me get that out of the way for you. And then the next step would be to drop off the dessert menu. We have a dessert list here for you, sir. Of course, I'll give you a moment to take a look at that. If you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you.
Beautiful. So then I usually give them a moment or so. I'll come back and, well, while we're perusing the dessert menu, would you like any coffee this evening? Maybe a cappuccino, hot tea?
Coffee, please.
Excellent. So are you finished with that so-and-so lager?
I am. Done.
Wonderful. Let me take that out of the way for you. So that would be an item that you can clear. Also make sure to clear any additional coasters that are on the table. This tends to get messy if you leave these on the table. This would then go to dish or the bar, depending on what kind of glassware it is, but we'll get into that later. So now I'm gonna go ahead and do the coffee order. Sir, what kind of coffee would you like, decaf or regular?
Regular, please.
Wonderful. Would you like any cream or sugar with that?
Yes, please.
Excellent. And so I will walk away, go back to the back, get the coffee ready. You temper the glassware with hot water, and we always have fresh coffee brewed in the back. We do have a system that does keep it warm, but we try to keep it brewed to order as to not have any beans or anything like that that gets spent or spoiled. So in this circumstance, he asked for cream and sugar, so I will provide those on the table. I have some cream and sugar here for you, sir. We also have a spoon in the tray as well so that they can mix it themselves. And then with it being such hot coffee, do pour it on the tray and then deliver the coffee to the guest. However, refills will be done on the table. So I am pretending to pour coffee, coming around his right, dancing around the table to present him with his coffee. The handle should be facing towards the right when you drop it off. Is there anything else I might be able to get for you, sir?
No.
No? Excellent. I'll be right back for you. Usually give them another moment or so, answer questions. We do have our ice creams of the day, sorbets of the day, and if we have any special menu items like desserts that are not listed, that's when I would let the guests know. Do make recommendations when you can. Guests really appreciate when you go that extra step. So in this circumstance, I'll say, sir, we have a new peach upside down cake that is delicious. The cake itself is very light with a beautiful crunchy crust and those amazing peaches on the top. Would you like to do that for your dessert this evening?
I'll actually have the cheesecake, please.
Excellent, that's my other favorite. That passion fruit curd's delicious. Let me go ahead and take that menu for you, sir. Thank you so much, and I'll get that cheesecake started for you right away. So you go ahead and get the dessert started. Now that is a straight fire item, so you would put that into the system with Touch Bistro, which of course, all of those ordering protocols you can see on the Touch Bistro training videos, which we've linked onto our YouTube page. But when we put this order into Touch Bistro, we can send it back to the kitchen as a straight fire. In this circumstance, I would put it in his particular seat so it's delivered to him directly. All of the orders tonight have been placed with the appropriate seat number so that the runners know where to put the food down. So we are going to plus him with the appropriate silverware. He ordered cheesecake, so we have a fork and a spoon. Fork will go on the left, spoon on the right. If a table of, I would say 3 or more is ordering a dessert and they tend to share one item, I would bring share plates in addition, but he is only ordering the item for himself, so it'll be delivered directly to his seat. So I am then going to approach him with the dessert, or the runner will, your cheesecake, sir. Excellent. That's also a good opportunity to check on the level of coffee. Would you like a top off on your coffee, sir?
I'm good.
Excellent. Again, 2-minute, 2-bite check back. Let them know that you're being attentive and that you're keeping an eye on them at all times. How's the cheesecake tasting, sir?
Fantastic.
Good, I'm so glad. Excellent. Once the dessert course is finished, we, in our steps of service, do a full clear of dessert prior to presenting the check. So in this case, he's still enjoying his coffee. Sir, may I take this plate out of the way for you?
Yes, please.
Wonderful, thank you, sir. I'll take this out of the way, take it to dish. And then, sir, is there anything else I might be able to get for you? Maybe a glass of after dinner wine or?
No, I'm okay for now.
Wonderful, I will prepare the tab for you.
Thank you.
So then you would go and you would get the check, present the check. Usually for guests that have maybe two couples, you would want to set it in the middle. I usually tend to say this is for your convenience, and I will come back and check on it every now and again. There usually is one guest that will ask for the bill ahead of time and be prepared for that. Alrighty, so we are now in the check processing portion of the steps of service for this gentleman's meal tonight. Something we offer here at Maverick is valet. We do have our own valet team employed by Maverick, so we take care of all of this in-house, which is awesome. I see as I'm dropping off the bill for the guest that there is a valet ticket on the table. Sir, I see that you have a vehicle with us in valet. Would you like for me to add that to your bill this evening?
Yes, please.
Excellent, wonderful. So you would take the valet ticket away from the guest, go to the computer, you would charge for the valet parking, and you're going to present a new check with the ticket back to the guest. So ideally, I'm going to ring in the parking, print out 2 copies of that itemized check. On one copy, I will write the number of the valet ticket at the top, and then I have the other copy that I will staple this ticket to and represent that to the guest. So I have done that. I am now back at the table, and I have everything in here with the ticket attached. Sir, I have your bill for you, and they will be bringing your car around in valet for you.
Thank you.
Of course. So then as I come back to receive payment, he has given me a credit card. So what I will do is take the check presenter away, go to the computer. I will then ring the card for the amount of the tab. I then print not only the signed slips, but another itemized for just his own bookkeeping. It's possible he's here on business, maybe with a convention. They will most likely ask for an itemized. We have comment cards in all of our checkbooks. This allows for us to receive emails from the guest as well as other information like their anniversary or birthday so that we can involve them in some special occasions here at the restaurant or wine education events in the future. Once I have this information and the signed or the slips for him to sign with the credit card, I will present them in the following order. We will have a credit card that goes on top, the comment card behind the credit card, both of the slips for the guest to sign, the merchant copy, the customer copy, and then that new itemized on the back. I put my pen in the book for the guest, and then I will put all of that inside the book to present back to the guest. So sir, I have everything here for you. Thank you again so much for joining us at Maverick, and I hope to see you again.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that is the end of that. Now the only items that should be left on the table should be the beverage glasses that they had left over. All plates, all silverware should be removed. There may still be napkins as well from dinner, and that's acceptable. But those are the only items to be left on the table. Alrighty, so something that does tend to happen, it's not always occurring or a often occurrence, but sometimes you will have a comp or a void that has to happen with the table. This is a comp and void chit. This is the information that you need to provide for management so they can take care of this for you. In this circumstance, I would put, let's just say a guest had ordered a lager that we had unfortunately sold out of for the evening on a busy Saturday night. I have already rung that information in, however, now I need it voided from my tab. So I would circle that it is a void. I would put the server name, which would be my own. The reason we are 86 that item, the item was a particular beer. I then would put the table number. It was at table, let's just say 21 for argument's sake, and the amount was $7 for the beer. I would then present this to my manager, who would then take care of it on the tab. They would usually sign or put their name on the manager line, and I would then receive this chit back to turn in with my checkout. That also goes for comps, just in case there was a dislike on an item or if something was not cooked to their liking. It does happen. It is the food and beverage industry, and so we take care of it in the least awkward way possible so that the guest is taken care of. All of these must go through management, and these must be turned in at the end of the night. All right, so now the guest has left for the evening. The only things left on the table would be the check and the beverage glasses from that evening. What I will come up and do is, with a tray, I will clear everything off of the table, including the checkbook. The checkbooks, if this is not your table, must go back to the nearest drawer within the room so that they're kept safe. Sometimes they have cash, but since we are all a team and we are tip pool, all of that will be put together at the end of the night. So we do want to make sure they're kept safe and not thrown away. So every item must be removed and placed onto a tray in the most appropriate way possible. Please never eagle claw the glassware, and don't put things under your armpits when you can avoid it. So I've cleared everything off of the table, including my water bottle and any additional trash or paper left over, and I have cleared all of this to the dish pit in the back. Once the table is cleared, we have sanitizer towels located in all of the service stations of the restaurant. I'd come back with my towel and I'm gonna go ahead and give it a good wipe down. For argument's sake, I'm going to be using a black towel, but most of our sanitizer towels are considered white fluffies with an orange stripe, or sometimes they're a different color. Either way, you will know which ones are sanitizers and which ones are not. You want to give it a really good wipe over the entire table. Every single corner, even the ones that the guest was not seated at. And then at the very end of all of that, after you've done a really good wipe, check all of the chairs surrounding the table. There may have been crumbs that have fallen off, and you want to give that a brush off with the sanitizer towel or with your hand, whatever you can to do to clear it off. Once the table is clear, we have candles or votives that we use as a marker for the busser or the following server to then reset the table. In that case, I would put the candle in the middle of the table. If you're on the wood tables in the tavern or in the chef's room, there would be a coaster underneath that candle. Once that's done, I have now marked to my fellow teammates that the table is ready to be reset. At this point, I have been informed by management or my host team that we are going to be having a two-top at this particular table. So I will come back with all of the necessary items to reset it for 2 guests. You receive your marking tray, the ones that are located at all of the service stations, and you want to have all of the correct silverware to reset. That would include 2 dinner knives and 2 forks and 2 linens. The linens are folded and located in different storage areas around the restaurant in the service stations. You place the linens about a thumb distance from the edge of the table in the middle. You then place the knife a thumb's width away from the linen at the same flush bottom level so they're all even and straight. Do the same with the forks on the left-hand side, again a thumb's width from the linen. And then either another teammate will follow after you with glassware, or if you have the time, you can reset glassware yourself. You would receive a tray, and you would take wine glasses and water glasses to the table. The wine glasses are placed directly at 12 o'clock north of the knife with the M facing the guest, and the water glasses would then go to the right at a 3 o'clock from the tip of the knife. This is the appropriate setting for 2 people, and that's it.
Upselling. The best way to upsell is simply by talking about it. Be confident and assertive. Speak fluidly and with knowledge of the item that you are serving. Be enthusiastic about what you're selling. We are creating experiences, not order takers. This means more money for the staff as well as helping to keep a viable restaurant in operation. Upselling should seem like a good service rather than a sales pitch. Know your wine. This will allow you to pair wine with the food that you sell. Offering wine pairings with courses, especially with dessert, is a great way to up your sales. How to handle guest complaints. Know that every time we make a mistake, it is an opportunity to not only remedy the problem, but also go one better. Show them how far out of our way we will go to remedy a situation. Tell a manager about every mistake, no matter how trivial, and allow them to advise you or work with you on a situation. Some of the most devoted regular guests are people who have had a bad experience previously, and the restaurant did an exceptional job making amends. Listen carefully and sympathetically. Ask a few questions and make sure you understand the problem completely. Listen for hidden meanings. Apologize. Do not blame another employee or the kitchen or anyone else. Apologize sincerely and then move on. An apology starts the process of resolving the problem. Take action immediately. Do whatever you can to fix the problem. If the steak arrives rare, although the guest ordered it rare, they don't like it, offer to cook it more, no questions asked. Do not lecture the guest on our menu or cooking procedures. It is not about you being right or an argument that you have to win. Thank the guest. Thank the guest for giving us this opportunity to correct the problem. Always inform managers about a complaint. They can help you with a situation. Their assistance has a greater value earlier rather than later so that a problematic situation isn't allowed to grow. Turn the negative into a positive. Exceed their expectations. If their food is taking a while, we will send them a middle course. Don't avoid the table. Keep them informed. Report back to the guest. Let them know what you are doing and how the action will impact or solve the problem. Follow up. Check back with the guest. Make sure that the problem has been handled to their satisfaction. Never underestimate the importance of a guest. A guest is not dependent upon us. We are dependent upon him or her. A guest is never an interruption of our work. They are the purpose of it. A guest does us a favor when he comes here. We are not doing them a favor by serving them.
We're currently going to be going through red wine service. In this case, we'll approach the table to the right-hand side, introducing ourselves, letting the guests know who we are. We'll always ask if they're looking for something light or full-bodied. Typically, we can discuss that at the table and ask, would you like something like Pinot Noir? Would you like something like Cabernet? In this case, the guest would like something to be light-bodied. So we'll refer them to grapes like Gamay or Pinot Noir. We'll ask if they want something a little more fruit-forward or a little more earth-driven. You can tell this by producer or by New World versus Old World, and we'll always try and walk them through the list. We'll give them a couple producers to think about. In this case, they decided to go with a light-bodied wine that's a little more fruit-forward. So we went ahead and selected the Jean Paul Brun Gamay. In this case, we'll always write the order down and repeat it back to the guest. One, to ensure that we know what we're getting also, but two, to confirm to the guest what they are getting. We could have multiple vintages of wine, we could have multiple bottlings from the same producer, and we just want to ensure the correct wine gets brought to the table. In this case, we'll remove the all-purpose glasses that are on the table and then bring out burgundy glasses. These are the large fishbowl glasses for varietals that are thin-skinned and aromatic like Gamay, Pinot Noir, or Nebbiolo. Once this is done, all the glasses will be polished prior to service, but in this case, we'll always give them one more check. We'll go ahead and bring the glasses to the table. We'll then walk back away and retrieve the wine from the Eurocave or the cellar or the Vinotemp in this case. Once we pull the bottle, we'll always restock it with a fresh one. And again, we'll go back to the right-hand side of the host. We'll repeat what they ordered. In this case, the 2017 vintage of Jean Paul Brun's Gamay. This is from Beaujolais. This is the L'Ancien bottling. We'll always take our corkscrew and cut the foil with the knife at the very top. 2 clean cuts just to remove any of the foil from the mouth of the bottle. In this case, we'll go ahead and put the worm inside of the cork, pull the cork out nice and smooth. I always try to keep the bottle in my hand and never set it on the table, that way they don't begin pouring themselves. I place the cork directly in front of the host, ensuring that the cork is intact and looks great. We'll then pour about an ounce for the host to taste, one to ensure that they like the wine, but also only an ounce. That way we can make sure that if they don't like it, we can always take it back and do something else with it. In this case, we always leave the label facing the host, that way they know what they are ordering. In this case, it's been accepted. We'll then rotate around to the guest of the host, always pouring them first. This is no matter The party size will always go to the guests first and back around to the host. We always pour about 2 to 2.5 ounces to let the wine breathe. We don't want to put too much wine in the glass. We'll then offer to remove the cork. In this case, they would like the cork removed. We'll put it in our pocket and leave it for another time.
In this video, we will show the presentation for a bottle of bubbles, whether it's champagne or sparkling wine from another country. The guests are observing the menu, selecting an option, discussing. So at this point, you can offer to assist them on their selection. One of the things to keep in mind is to gather some information about what they would like to enjoy. In this case, they are celebrating an anniversary, and they'd like to celebrate with a bottle of bubbles. At this point, you can offer them the question of what they feel comfortable what their comfortable price range is. So at this point, I'm letting them know that a great option for them might be the Spanish Cava at a very valuable price point. And at this point, the next question to ask them is if they would prefer to drink their bubbles in the flutes or in white wine glasses. Some customers prefer to drink bubbles out of white wine glasses. You can smell the wine a little bit better, but if they would like champagne flutes, obviously we will do whatever the guest would like. At this point, bring the proper glassware to the table, in this case the flutes. And then you will retrieve the bottle of wine that you will be opening. The bottles of sparkling wine are located in our Vino Temps in the back privé box. Here you will present the label out to the guest. Make sure to say the producer, if there is a vintage, and if there are grapes, to let them know. With the sparkling wine, because of the nature of it, it's okay that the label might not face them at all times. Some bottles will offer a tab that you can pull the foil off very easily. In this case, you will need a corkscrew to help assist in that. Make sure to cut the cut the foil below the cage, below the wires, just like you would a standard bottle of wine. And you can remove the foil, place it in your pocket or in your server apron. Then the next thing is you will unhinge the cage by rotating the little foil there. Make sure to keep your hands on the bottle so that the cork does not explode. You will turn the bottle, not the cork, and keeping the pressure on the cork so that it just releases a light noise, sort of a little pfft, as opposed to a pop. This is not a NASCAR race. So pour a small taste for the guest. Make sure that they enjoy it. Here they're smelling the cork to make sure that it is not faulty. The host is now going to taste the wine. And at the point that the host says that the wine is acceptable, you then can start pouring the rest of the guests. Make sure to pour open towards the guest as if you were to offer a hug with the label facing towards them. And with the case of the champagne flute, or you want to fill it up until about 2 fingers from the top to give some space. You'll notice there, for demonstration purposes, you will see that. That's not something you would at the table, but just to give you an idea of how far away you want to pour it in a flute. If it were in the white wine AP glass or all-purpose glass, you would pour to about the M, but also take care to note how many people you are portioning for. Sometimes it might be a lot less than that. In this case, the 2 people are enjoying. I offered to chill the wine for them. We usually keep our white wines chilled off on different locations, but in this case, the guests insisted that the wine be chilled next to them. We keep them separate because of the nature of our restaurant, to avoid, it's a very high traffic place, so to keep them from spilling over, but in this case, they like it next to them, and we never say no to a guest. Alright, in this training video, we will discuss a couple of miscellaneous, etc. wine elements.
So the first one will be for our private dining room wine procedures. These are going to kind of go on a case-by-case basis. So in our private dining room, or as we refer to it, the PDR, we have events which are, we also call BEO. So you might hear these terms thrown around a bit, but those will be located in our back dining room. There will always be involved a manager and a sommelier or someone else with the wine program to select the wines and to contact the guest and see what they would like. But one important thing to know is that pretty much we will only be serving the private dining room or PDR with the AP glasses. This is because we don't have that high of a quantity of our Burgundy and our Bordeaux glasses. Again, there's always exceptions. If a guest is really having a wine-focused dinner back there, we can absolutely cater and make sure that they have what they want. At this point though, just be sure to ask a manager or someone else a contact point for the event just to verify if they do need special glassware, but for the most part it will just be these AP glasses with the M on them. We do still change out glassware for everyone back there. In the event that it's a very, very large event and we're just going to keep refilling their glass, this will be, you'll be instructed on this, but just to give you a general idea of how things go for that. Then the next little miscellaneous element will be wine rejection. So this is when you're at a table and you pour them a taste of the wine, they smell it and they say they don't like it or there's something wrong with the wine. We never say no to a guest. I'm sure you've heard this a few times. So for this, you would like to ask the guest, what is it about the wine that they don't like? Sometimes wines do have a fault. Perhaps the wine is corked and it smells musty, like wet cardboard or wet newspaper. Sometimes it might kind of smell like rotten eggs or sulfur. In this case, of course, we're not going to ever make a guest drink anything they don't want to, but they'll let you know something's off with the wine. Maybe they also say they don't care for it. We will, again, never tell a guest no. We will politely accept the wine, and at this point you would go tell a manager on duty why that guest rejected the wine. If it is faulty, the manager or the sommelier or someone with the wine program will then verify if it is faulty. If it is faulty, we'll write it on the label and keep it in our cellar so that we can get credits for that with our distributors. But let's say a guest does not know that it's still good and they say it's faulty, but really they just don't like it. This is why you kind of try to get some information at the table. In this case, the manager or sommelier will then go to the table. Let's say the wine is not faulty. It's perfect, but they just think it's off or they don't like it or care for it. At this point, we will then suggest another wine to them instead of opening a second bottle where it's the same thing and we're gonna keep opening bottles for them when in fact something else is better suited. So again, major points. Don't say no to the guest. We'll politely take the bottle back and get a manager involved to figure out the next course of action. The last bit for this miscellaneous video will be the corking fee. You might have a guest ask if they can open a bottle of wine that they've brought. Maybe a friend brought them a gift. Maybe you're on the phone and they're asking what our corking fee is. Unfortunately, this is one point where we do have to let the guests know that because of TABC law, we are unable to have them open bottles here. This is because we have licenses to serve liquor, mixed beverages, and so at this point we do have to let them know that option is not available. If you have any troubles with the guest, always get a manager involved. Thanks.
Thank you for joining us in our Steps of Service training video. I hope that with the tools that we've provided for you that you can create a successful career for yourself now and in the future. Thank you again, and good luck.